Hey everybody, this is Matthew Cook and this is episode 85 of the Tactical Dad podcast, and in this episode, short and sweet, we are going to highlight specific differences between a .223 and a 5.56 NATO in terms of ammunition. Hey, this is Matthew Cook and this is episode 85 of the Tactical Dad podcast, and in this episode we are going to break down real quick, real fast specifics and some valuable information in terms of the .223 and the 5.56 ammo differences, since it's a very popular hot topic on our social, especially in the short TikToks and YouTube shorts. So we're going to do that real quick. I'm going to preface this with I'm no expert in ammunition, I'm no expert in guns, I'm not giving any advice, I am no trainer, I am not ex-military. This is me eagerly learning, excited about the space, and going all out in guns and ammo and tactical gear. So, per my last episode, my last podcast, yes, the external dimensions of a 5.56 and a .223 cases are the same. The cases are identical. However, 5.56 is military grade, so military brass is typically thicker than other brass casings, so you'll often find less room inside the casing of a 5.56 than in a .223, and this is why with the same amount of powder charge you'll get higher pressure inside the smaller 5.56 casing than the .223. So a lot of people have been commenting and making statements about the amount of pressure. That's where it comes from. So that's the root of that. The difference, however, like for your average guy, your everyday guy, your average rifle or AR-15 buyer and user, you're not really going to tell a difference between the two, especially in terms of accuracy. It's just really not enough to matter. They're so close to the same thing. In fact, somebody mentioned they're so close to the same thing, why are we talking about it? Good point, but we are, so why not talk more about it? This is why, because there's so little difference in the accuracy, this is why the big manufacturers, big name manufacturers like Springfield, SIG, Daniel Defense, Colt, this is why they don't use .223 chambers. They all use mostly 5.56 chamber dimensions. And if you go into a gun store, go online, do your search, you'll find, especially in 2023 or last year, like in most recent years, you'll be hard pressed to find a rifle from a reputable manufacturer that wasn't chambered for 5.56. So a 5.56 versus a .223, the former uses slightly more powder. A rifle's chambered for it must adhere to certain specifications to suit it, as it's a standardized military cartridge. And we're going to touch a little bit on that in just a second, because it's important, and people have been mentioning how it doesn't matter if your rifle's chambered for a .223, it doesn't matter, you can interchange it, no one's ever been hurt from it, blah 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 blah. We'll get to that in a sec. The first difference is so coming back to differences. The first difference is the higher pressure level of the 5.56 NATO cartridge, which runs at approximately 58,000 psi. A .223 Remington is loaded to approximately 55,000 psi. The second and most important difference between the two is the fact that a 5.56 NATO chamber has a 0.125 inch longer throat. I do recall seeing some comments or some people commenting back and forth about the different length of the throat, so just wanted to throw that in there. That's I can't remember who it was or what they said exactly. So many comments going on, but yes, the second most important difference between the two is that the 5.56 NATO chamber has a 0.125 inch longer throat. In practical terms, because we're all practical here, it means you won't get the most out of a 5.56 NATO. You won't get the most out of 5.56 NATO ammo unless your rifle is made to NATO specifications. And this is because you want it to be able to take somewhat higher chamber pressure. So that takes us into what we're going to go into a little bit more in a second. That takes us into how with a .223 can be safely used in a NATO spec rifle in a 5.56 at 5.56 millimeter. Okay, so a .223 can be safely used in the NATO spec rifle, which is 5.56 millimeters, but not the other way around. Now, if manufacturers and brands are stating this, there's got to be at least a small element of the possibility of damaging either the firearm or causing harm to the operator. So just avoid the whole thing. Yeah, it might not happen often. In fact, I don't know of any that's happened, but still, you don't want to risk it. They won't put it on there if it wasn't true. So the biggest problem, I would say, with these differences is when firing a 5.56 NATO cartridge in a rifle chambered for a .223 Remington. Due to the longer throat that the NATO chamber employs, this combination will cause the .223 chambered weapon to run at approximately 65,000 psi or more. So we're getting into some specifics now. I did some more research. I've got notes down in front of me here because I can't remember all this stuff. I understand the gist of it, but I can't remember those numbers. So that's 10,000 psi higher than the .223's normal functioning pressure of the 55,000 psi. It's 10,000 more. So that, like, this ain't rocket science. That's not safe, and it will cause primers to back out, or worse, cause harm to the operator, the rifle, or both. So just don't do it. Simple. But that's it. That's all from me today. They are some specifics for people to know and understand about .223 and a 5.56 ammunition, rifle ammunition. Now, obviously, this is not new, and this is not groundbreaking information to experts or people that are very versed or well versed in ammunition, guns, and tactical gear. But which is fine. But there are over 10 million new gun owners in the last 5 to 7 years. This is for them, because I was there not too long ago. So thanks for joining me. Hope you learned something. Hope you got some value out of this podcast. I appreciate it. Hit me up in the comments section on any of the social platforms. I appreciate the interaction. Don't appreciate some of the bashing, but I get it. That's what happens. Appreciate the interaction though, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Peace.